Welcome to Closer to Venus. I'm Johnny Burke, and today's guest is Inaya Oakroot. She is a paradigm shifter showing the way duality is meant to co-create new life. Her work involves empowering us to navigate the interconnectedness of all aspects of existence, and today we'll discuss how to unlock the hidden potential within the realm of divine duality. Inaya, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Johnny.
So what led you to become a paradigm shifter, and exactly what is that?
Yeah, what is it? For me, it's about seeing another perspective of duality, because duality has been the main form of existence in our way of living for many decades, many 100,000 years. For me, a paradigm shifter is the one who see the potential beyond that and the other side of duality, because the duality has a totally other aspect that couldn't reach before we have done this second two energy like bumping between each other. We needed the experience from it to come to the third, when we start to understand the attraction between two counterparts. And when we can do that, whatever be put in a field, like two counterparts or two subjects, they're two mutual. It's a magical field that is metaphysical, that we come to when we go deep into two subjects, and they interrelate to each other to understand existence in a new way.
Duality is a pretty complex subject. What would be the easiest way to describe that in the first place?
Yeah, duality for me, it's a source split into or expanded to two different parts to interrelate with each other, which we normally call yin-yang. The energy that for me, it's not two energies going around having the other in themselves and just be there in a wheel like we see it. More, it's a ecstatic dance between darkness and light, between the subconscious or non-conscious, the nothingness and pure potential, and the consciousness. And that is what we can create from. But we have interpreted as two counterparts that cannot be in the same place, like it's good or bad, it's right or wrong. We have had this paradigm where everything is not correlating with each other, but creating shadows. So if we then see those two counterparts with two different potentials and start to make attraction between those two parts, first of all, we can create a field. When they meet each other in the center, we start to create a field where it's healing all what is done with duality, with the inverted duality. And also, when it's healed, they start to have a field with their co-creating energy that can manifest so much more than we ever perceived. And our potential is totally within us, but we have used it in another way than it was possible to really take this interrelation and co-creation, because we all had our school teaching from outside. We were stored with information from outside, and all in the divine side of duality, it comes from relating it from inside, from having trust, from having developed senses, and to have the skill to be telepathic, and all of this that comes when we start to use our inner potentials.
Can you elaborate on the concept of divine duality in an example where we can actually apply it in our daily lives?
Yeah, first of all, we can say we see lots of students that take 2 high degrees in the same time, and we can't understand how they could do it. They take the highest degree of economy, and they take at the same time the highest degree of mathematics, because they have done it so deeply, the two parts, so they actually accelerate each other. With my life, I always have different works. As a tennis coach, I always got new information about reality when I was an artist in the same time. When I was an artist, the exploration from art understood more of the nature of my coaches. So everything in the middle in the space between, it has made it so much easier to be successful than if I followed one line.
If we could get an explanation on what divine duality is, and probably more important, how did you discover divine duality in the first place?
Yeah. First of all, how I discovered it was when I was deeply meditating with yin yang and saw their interconnection and saw like the sun exploding its own creation. And when I saw it, I just started to channel new information that came in about what it is. The more I explored it, because I was writing my book, and when I wrote my third book, it was all channeled, and with the writing, more information came through. So I think it's a normal thing that when we go into something and practice it, the knowledge can come deeper and wiser. It's so interesting because I was in Egypt now in October, half a year ago. And when I start to study more about the Egyptians' way to see things, they already had the idea of a knowledge about divine duality. So the ascension process that the pharaohs was doing, what was actually a cleansing through duality.
Okay, so this information was channeled then?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that. Channeling does come up quite a bit in these types of discussions. Do you have any idea who the source was or what it was? Because there's been instances of different types of consciousness. Was there anything that you can do to identify them, or did they communicate any that info to you?
Yeah, first of all, it's easy to see if it's someone who has lived in a human body, because when I channel like Yeshua, he has so much patience, has been in a human body. But if it's higher realms that haven't been manifested in physical body, this was like an angel energy of the green ray coming down. It's like they don't let me sleep. They don't let me eat. It's just running, and they have no idea of this concept of being in human body.
That's a very, very good point. I've never heard that, but I'm glad that I did. Very interesting. So, Yeshua, for those that may not know, who actually is Yeshua?
Well, somebody calls him Jesus.
How did you know it was Yeshua?
This wasn't Yeshua. This was the Green Ray. My first book, This Creative Existence, it was Yeshua. And when I was just preparing myself with chakra dancing 1 hour in the morning, he came down by sight in my room when I came to the heart chakra. So it was very obvious. And also when I came home from vacation and I was a bit sad, I started to draw and I thought I would just draw like a leaf or something. And it was drawing itself and the face of him. It manifests in different ways to show up.
It's just a knowing, because this question's obviously going to come up with a lot of people that are either listening or watching. The question I get often is, how do you know they're telling the truth? Many people talk about speaking to Jesus, speaking to Christ consciousness. How do you know that that's not some trickster spirit impersonating a light being or Yeshua?
Yeah, it's a very important question. For me, I double check it with anesthetic energy. Our body is neutral to information. So always when I also work in the Akashic records to heal and to shift energies, I always connect to my body that is totally neutral and connected to all that is. So when I check it, it's an aesthetic moment. You know that people are testing, like if you're happy, the arm is strong, and if you're in fear, it's getting loose. So I do the testing. Then I recognize the voice, of course, and the energy after a while.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned the Akashic records. When did you discover this and how to read the records, or did all of your spiritual development kind of happen all at once?
No, it's actually when I was taking a modality of soul realignment that I start to understand the Akashic records. When I studied by Gita Ben David to make sounds, I understand how sound really works. Before that, it's like an experiment. And it's so good when you start to get frames of how it works and what it is, because then you start to be trusting more and more about your intuition, and you get to see more and more things because of the trust. Because energy is all there is. And if I get an information and then distrust it, it's like I take it in and throw it away. Then I don't get any more information. So trust is a very central point for doing any kind of work beyond the scene.
Does the ability to channel have anything to do with reading the records, or are they independent entities?
What I feel, channeling, it's like something that is outside ourselves, but channeling is just being connected. We are connected if we are not disconnected. So we are born to be connected. And the channeling is not that, oh, wow thing. It's just to be connected. And some people get it like in a knowing. That's my way mostly. And some people get it like voices or visions or different things, but it's just to be connected. Actually, everyone has those gates and different gates to understand word and create our own reality. And the more we can open up the energy to see, to recognize things energetic beyond the scene, the more we are channelers. It's just a connection like between you and I, but it's beyond the language that we used to have.
I've been told by many channels, mediums, everybody's doing it. It's just that some people have the ability a little bit closer to the surface than others, and it does take practice. So how is channeling and the Akashic records, what is the relationship of those two things to mediumship? Is that something that is within your wheelhouse, or is it not something that really applies?
Yeah, reading Akashic records is actually to know that this existence exists in the fifth and sixth dimensions, if we call it dimensions, but in this energy field, in this frequency, it's stored information, everything that ever have happened on Earth. So it's not about future. It's just about what have been. And when we go in there and just ask a question, we can just actually have the static test and say yes and no to different questions. And we don't need to be that much a channeler. But the more we do it and start not to only do the static test, but starting to trust our intuition, the channeling energy are coming more and more.
A moment ago, you mentioned dimensions. This also comes up a lot in these types of discussions, particularly going from 3D to 5D, and the terminology gets a bit confusing, dimensions and density and so on. What does duality have to do with going from 3D to 5D?
First of all, I don't believe that we go from 3D to 5D. We will have them all in the same. We will live still in a physical body. If we lived in fifth dimension, we will not have a body any longer. Because the third dimension is physical, it's matter, it's time and space. The fourth dimension is our mind and emotions, the energy field that is connected to that unseen body that we all have and that Earth also has. The fifth dimension, or if we call it frequency, it's about the energy of a physicality. And the duality, in my way of seeing it started already when creation expanded into two parts and created sound. So already in the creation from the one spot, the sound was starting an evolution of waves, of motions. And the motions was starting making lights and colors in different frequencies and wavelengths. And those were more and more coming into interaction with each other and start to make patterns. And the patterns start to make geometry. And geometry later came into the lower fractals or energies further away from source. It started to come into form. And after form, it comes to matter. So that's why sound is so important for healing, because it's the first energy from source, and it's the most effective because of that.
So why is then duality our next level of mastery?
Yeah, because if we see our rushing life, it's like going in like a battery between minus and plus, and it's a duality when we are in rush. But if we slow down, the space between them hold all potential of shift energies, to shift lives, to go in new directions. We cannot do it in one or the other of the poles. So polarity has been there to make stories, to make life on Earth, life on the planets. Everything is created from duality. Before that, it's just one consciousness without life.
I was just about to ask you that, because the way I understand it, if we get to the point of oneness, there is no more duality. Does that make sense?
If we just have oneness, we will not have any creativity. We will not have two different parts to co-create new matter, new energy, new thoughts, anything.
And this was the information channeled, or where did you discover that?
Well, when I speak to you now, it's my higher self speaking to you.
Now?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, higher self, it's nice to meet you. Higher self of Inaya. So a moment ago, you mentioned the difference between 3D and 5D. You said that in 5D, there are no physical bodies. We're basically light beings. In your channeling adventures, have you been exposed to any facts about ancient civilizations that were living in a 5D existence, or did that just not happen?
There are. We will also find out so much about consciousness, because everything from source is conscious in one or the other way. And all planets are consciousness. Living being doesn't look like human beings, but they are conscious being in different aspects of frequency.
Okay, the reason I bring that up is because many people that have been on the show before have past life memories that go way, way back. I'm talking about Atlantis, Lemuria, which is supposed to be even older. I've also been told that some of those civilizations, if not all of them, were at one point what we would describe as a 5D civilization. Things like telepathy were completely normal. Are you saying when there's no physical body, there's no body at all, they're light beings, or is it like a combination of a physical body and a light body?
Yeah, what we are now, we are not only our body 3D reality. We are as high as we can vibrate, as high as our higher self can go wide without losing the connection to our body. The more we live in different dimensions in the same time. So when we evolve to come into a higher dimensions, like 5 is not that high, but it's the first one without physical body. We all have this light body within us, but we have a physical body still because we live in a 3D. So what I feel that this new paradigm is, it's really to be able to live in a physical body and to be totally, fully consciousness in other dimensions, far out from this level of existence.
It sounds like it could be quite interesting, pretty exciting too. Now, in your shop, the Oakroot Spiritual Academy, some of the tools that you use to heal trauma and unlock one's potential, that involves guided meditation and I think sound healing. Could you give us an example of what that looks like?
Yeah, and I also work with shamanic energy healing.
So shamanic.
Yeah.
So channeling, vibrational energy healing. You're beginning to sound like a Swiss Army knife of the intuitives here.
Yeah, they say I am.
One of the things I try to do in these episodes is try to connect the dots between the different modalities and why certain people will use this one or that one or a combination. I'm about to interview someone that does use vibrational healing, and it's all about frequency. Am I right? Which has to do with sonics. So if you could give us an example, that would be great.
I just tell you logically. Sound healing, from vocal sound healing, I learned it from Gita Ben-David. She's so great. She taught us, everyone who's taking her courses, how to scan body with hung song. That is a kind of undertone. It's like two tones going very, very close to each other. It's like Doesn't sound very nice, but it's like
It
that.
sounds like a bear.
Yeah, or cat or different. Yeah, and then if you just focus with your mind on a spot and do this sound and you go through it, it's all excellent. And when you come to a spot where those two notes can't enter in the same channel, you know there's a blockage. And then after that, we can really go there. And if it's a lower part of the body, we do open undertones like this. Like that.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds a little bit like Tibetan monks or didgeridoo, the undertones when you do it. Sorry to scare you.
That's okay. I asked how it works and you're telling me. That's fine.
If you go for higher parts of your body, you get more and more high pitch of the sound. And then it's more overtones. So the lower body's undertones, and then comes more and more overtones.
Would you say this is energy healing or vibrational healing, or is it sound healing?
Well, I will say that all what you say will be in that spectra. Sound healing can also be with crystal singing bowls, with gongs, with drums, and I use them also. What I told you now is vocal sound healing. And because our voice is in our body, as our intention is in our body, and our mind can be as a laser if we are focused, it's so much more effective than the other high frequency sound that is more balancing our body, but it's not going into one spot and heal it.
So to make this simple, whether it's energy healing, vibrational healing, sound healing, anything that has to do with sound music, does it just come down to like what frequency that sound, where it lies in the spectrum?
Yeah.
It's all about frequency, isn't it?
It's all about frequency.
Okay.
Life is all about frequency. If there are resonance in the body and the tune, it starts to operate. So it's all about resonance.
What place does your work have in the future of, let's say, evolving consciousness, which you talked about earlier?
Yeah. My work is to shift worldviews, to shift lives. So the worldview is always making our concept of reality. So even though I can go in and heal someone with sound, if I don't give them also an idea of what is possible in the spectra and the perspective of life that gives them not only hope, but power back, and the healing with different tools of divine duality, they start to relate to life in different ways. And that is my way of doing it. Now I have 2 full-time clients, like come for 4 weeks, but it has been 6 weeks now because they were in vacation also, one of them, to totally integrate a new way of living and shift their life. They came to me because their life came to an end where they felt that they will not survive if they didn't shift. So we need another life before we can shift. We will not shift by just fun.
Is that another way of saying, using the tools in your work, of basically raising our vibe or raising our collective vibe?
Yes, absolutely. And the consciousness of what my beingness is already creating before I do anything.
You have to love additional tools for raising the vibration, because that's another thing we hear a lot. Almost every episode has something to do with that. Inaya, thanks for joining us today. Very, very interesting info. In the meantime, how can our listeners find you online?
They find me on oakrootspiritualacademy.com. And everything is in the site.
Okay, great.
It would be lovely to meet you all.
Excellent. I will put that in the show notes and the transcript as well. You've been listening to Closer to Venus. I'm Johnny Burke. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing on iTunes. In the meantime, you can find more info on closertovenus.com. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.